I've been making videos for over 14 years now, and for the past 3 of those I've actually started caring a bit more about my production quality. I got myself a decent camera, a solid lighting setup, and even a teleprompter so I don't look down to read the script after every line like an idiot. But one thing I have been really missing is a field monitor. And while you can get a field monitor for around $100, getting a wireless system is gonna cost, well, more than I can afford. So I built my own. And before you ask why did it have to be wireless? Well, 2 reasons. First, wires. Filming videos already requires you to fill your room with so many wires and equipment. And secondly, I already had everything I needed. For the screen I have this 7-inch display laying around which claims to be an IPS panel on the product page, but if that's an IPS panel, then this is a MacBook Pro. And for the video transmission I have these wireless HDMI sticks. So I'm all set, right? One thing I've learned in my past projects is that you should always test your hardware before you commit to spending hours working with it. Don't ask me how many times it took me to get that lesson through my head. Though as you can see I got lucky this time and everything actually worked right out of the box. The video feed looks good and to my surprise there's almost no delay. I even measured it and it's about 20 milliseconds, so less than 1 frame. Anyways, now that I've verified everything works, I could move on to designing the actual case. I started out recreating all the different components in CAD so I could reference them in my design. Feel free to roast my terrible CAD skills, by the way. I never really learned how to properly do CAD, I just kinda watched like an hour's worth of tutorials and have been working off vibes ever since. Is this the CAD equivalent of vibe coding? Like vibe CADing? This was my first ever time designing 3D printable hinges and I gotta say it was not as complex as I thought. When it came to making a closing mechanism though, I definitely went full dumbass mode. For some reason I thought making this weirdly shaped cutout was a good idea to keep the box closed. Yeah, that's certainly a way to waste 20 minutes. I did come to my senses however and looked up how to make a better closing mechanism. I like the idea of using a locking tab like this, but I wanted it to hold a bit more tightly so it doesn't open accidentally, which is why I ended on this shape. I also deactivated my dumbass mode for a few minutes and had the bright idea to test print the hinge and clamp mechanisms, and thank God I did. For some reason I completely neglected to plan any tolerance into my design, and so it was impossible to put the filament into the hinges, and the clasps just didn't fit at all. So I went back, added some offsets to allow for a bit of tolerance, and also this teardrop shape for the hole, because otherwise with 3D printed holes the top tends to sag a bit, making it smaller than expected. Another quick 20-minute test print later, and when you know it, both the clasp and hinge work perfectly. Well, almost. I kind of went overboard with tolerances, meaning the whole frame has a lot of wiggle room sideways. So, one last revision. I added 2 more hinges and these alignment pegs to stop the wiggle, these thumb indents to make opening the case easier, and also these cutouts for the monitor buttons and cables. Then I just added some text and let the box print overnight. Normally this would be where I show you the beautiful time-lapse of the print, but for some reason despite stopping every layer to take a photo, the printer just didn't save it. Great. So anyways, here it is. It came out pretty great. Apart from this small misplaced piece of filament that really annoys me. The alignment pegs work great and the clasp is nice and strong. A bit too strong actually, so I had to kind of sand it down a tiny bit. Time to put everything in. You might have noticed a distinct lack of mounting anything in my design. Yeah, I thought about doing that, but then I just kinda said f it and decided that these 3M adhesive patches would be good enough. Though for the HDMI stick I at least taped it to a magnet instead of the case itself, so I could easily remove that in case I wanted to swap cables or something. Now it's time to plug everything in and... oh. The cutout for the cables is just a bit too high to get the USB for the display power inserted. Oh well, nothing the good old Dremel can fix. And one little plastic burn later, everything's in place and voila! Now I just gotta remove the accent filament around the hinge. And to prevent it from sliding out, I used all 2 of my brain cells, heating up the back of my pliers with a lighter and then pressing it against the filament to create this kind of rivet. I'm not even joking, this was the single smartest decision I made during this project. I was so proud of myself to have come up with this. And now, almost exactly 24 hours after starting this project, I am done and honestly quite happy with how it turned out. The field monitor works perfectly for my use case and is going to be a huge help in filming future videos. But if you paid really close attention, you might have potentially noticed that it's kind of very far from perfect. Let's start with the most obvious point, the cables. Is it pretty to have them hanging out on the side? Absolutely not. But to fix this, I would have had to either extend the case to the side significantly, or I would have had to order some different cables with 90-degree connectors. And since I just wanted to get this project done with as fast as possible, I just kind of kept it like that. Oh, and while it isn't an issue per se, I really thought about integrating an adjustable kickstand. The display itself has one and that might be practical. If I were to do this project all over again, I would improve all these things. Oh, and I'd also remember to design a case for the transmitter side as well. But for now, I'm really happy with what I got. Certainly beats spending $400 on a proper setup. And who knows what the future holds. I did put Mark 1 on the case for a reason. Oh, and if you're wondering why this channel is empty even though I've been making videos for 14 years, since I have so many different interests that I make videos about, I thought it would be smarter to split them up among 2 channels. My main channel on YouTube is still Magnus, and that's where I will be keeping most of my gaming and game dev related content. But everything related to 3D printing and projects like this, I will now put on this channel. So if you're interested in seeing more like this, subscribe to this channel, and if you're also interested in gaming or game development, move over to my other channel and maybe subscribe as well if you want to see what I post there. But no matter what you do, thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.